All right. Hello, StreamYard. Welcome back, fellow TFFL owners, to your weekly, monthly, whatever TFFL webcast. It is Monday, June 15th. We are squarely in the middle of June. Doesn't exactly feel like that, but we're getting into the summer, which really does mean we get to start talking more and more about football and the TFFL. And we're going to start tonight. We have a big TFFL trade to talk about today. Perfect timing. I don't know what Thorny's doing here. 9:30.
Freeze on 9:30.
I got the update that we're live.
All right, good. We may not have a live audience out there now that Thorny's with us here
Oh,
tonight.
that's your YouTube alert. I like it. Yes.
But yeah, good timing. We have a Kyler Murray trade, big trade to talk about today. That's been brewing for a while. We are specifically here to talk about some of the new rules that we just went through that process. Actually passed one new one, Bill.
Just the one.
One new one, two failed proposals.
Nothing got close. Nothing else got close.
But a lot of work went into that free agency IR proposal. It's fairly significant, but simple change to digest. Phil, I think, is actually going to lead us through that discussion in just a moment. And we're just going to talk. We have some big news going on in the world of football outside the TFFL. People testing positive for COVID. We got talk of training camps coming up. We'll see if that really happens or not. But let's chat for a little while. My panel to introduce, starting with our commissioner, Richard.
How you doing? Good to be here, and happy to have executed my first transaction as TFFL commissioner. I think you'll find that the essential documents were updated in quick fashion and hopefully accurately. I'll never promise that I get everything perfectly accurate. I try my best, so I appreciate second sets of eyes to make sure that the transaction was indeed documented correctly. But I believe I did ace my first one, and that is done and dusted in the books, and we're good to go. Really happy to be back on the webcast. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, Bork.
Good, quick work. Nice job.
Thank you, sir.
I
I had to live up to my predecessor. He
Yeah.
was very, very expeditious.
He was very short with his words. Yes.
I was on that.
So your first transaction, you just got through your first rules process. Off to a good start. Nice work, Rich. Joined as well by the Stoned Pony, High Command from Jack's Giant Killers. Berto?
Stick, how are you?
Good. You?
Good.
Is there anybody on our webcast in the TFFL who has not been invited to poker yet?
I think everyone has been invited. I put it on the group. What is it? Group me thing. So yeah. So,
Nice, Chiron. Good.
I think we almost got Ruggiero this week, right? He was a tentative. Yes, didn't make it, but
Wow, you get Freddie tentative. That's you better.
He seemed
we-
genuinely interested.
Hold on to it.
and we did get Chris Connor a couple of weeks ago in the game, so that was good.
So if you're not playing, join us on Saturday night. Tubster's been doing well lately. Not me, but Michael, Nick, Hank had a couple straight good outings there. So yeah.
Can I ask how boisterous the conversation is, or is it just people staring at their cell phones?
There's actually a Microsoft Teams meeting going on simultaneously where you can chat with everybody if you want. This is true.
I tell you, I mandate that, Bill. You gotta have a
I'm not
side
playing it
video.
unless people are talking.
Otherwise, I have no interest in showing up to play poker just to stare at a phone.
It's a social game. It's
See
a
a
social
text.
game.
You watch a text stream. Nice one. Oh, that was tough.
Oh, hard.
I ain't got time
loss.
for that.
Yeah,
right.
tough
I
loss.
have a totally different take on the experience that Borkman is describing, but we're not gonna get into that. I thoroughly enjoy pacing around my house by myself with my iPad, screaming at the nicknames of people that I don't even know. It's great. Love it.
So there is a Microsoft Teams meeting. Phil never joins us in there, but that's your prerogative.
Yeah.
This is distracting.
Stick is on there weekly. Michael's on. Nick is on. He wasn't on this week because I think he was tanked already from his graduation party earlier in the day. But
We have
Nick-
stats. We have stats from the weekly tournament. It's great. Join us if you haven't. All right, panel intros. Hank, our IT director, czar, and CEO of the Killers. Of the Killers. Forgive me.
Yeah, that was like blasphemy. That was flat out blasphemy.
I know.
You might have to start over. Stick.
He's an intruder. We're going to get to this trade. I have an issue with Phil's behavior about this trade.
The Killers and K-Wheels are going to both come out of my mouth here a lot tonight, so that's how that happened.
I can't wait.
And Nick needs a refill.
Our special guest, Thornburg and his beard. Welcome.
His beard.
And the beard.
Yep. We're going to be talking.
It's actually fluffy.
It's larger than life.
You got to get some Just for Men. Start painting that on there.
No way, man. That's a slippery slope. You're doing that for the rest of your life then.
So, Bill,
I shouldn't talk, actually. But.
Well done once again, guiding us through the rules process.
My pleasure. It's always something I love to do and hate to do.
After 20-something years, we've obviously, I think, got our rule book in a fairly good place.
Yes. We're micromanaging at this point, yes.
And but you do a good job of working with individual owners on strong proposals, and we've improved our rule book year.
And the fact is, if we approve one rule every 3 years, right. I think I'm happy. I think I've done a good job. So nobody is trying to. We're not creating anarchy. We're keeping going with what works. So
let's. I am working up a trivia question. What's that, Berto?
I like the scroll there.
Oh yeah.
I'm working on the scroll. We're having fun with that.
Right. So I'm working up a trivia question. We'll get to our news here in a moment. The trade that we need to talk about. We'll get to the rules. But Rich, good to check in with our commissioner to start things off. Tell us where we are with any dues owed to Berto, any action on the House, anything we need to know or do.
I would say we are at a state of inertia at the moment. There is no major advancements, no major drawbacks.
Are we at rest?
We're at rest. We're at inertia.
Yeah. No. Nothing is inertia. Inertia always has movement.
Right. No. So there's not movement, but it's not going anywhere.
Inertia is the concept of an object in motion. And an object at rest will stay.
Inertia is not 0.00000. There's always inertia.
So the point was that there's very little motion in present.
That is right.
And I would say just stay tuned. The only advancements are the ones you covered already. The rule book, the trades, the essential doc. Unless Berto has some other update, we are still in a holding pattern from the last communication, and we'll wait 30, 60 days out, check a little later in the summer, see how things are going. If I'm playing odds maker, I'm telling you the odds are against us. Just in terms of what I'm seeing with the results out there, most of the rest of the country, people don't take this stuff seriously, and I think it's going to be to our disadvantage, unfortunately.
Yeah, my only thing with this is the owner has been real good. We've stayed in this house before. It's not through an agency.
Right.
I don't want to keep her on the hook for too long. She was pretty open-ended about that. So, kind of my thought is we just got to pick a day, I think, in July at some point, likely mid-July, possibly, where we come to some sort of
what's the date? Is it like this? Isn't it September 12th? Isn't it like September 8th?
The draft, yeah.
Is that the date? See, I'm thinking you got to give at least 45 days, right? So back up 45 days from that, and what do you got? Where are you?
That's why I was saying July. At some point in July, right? That was my point.
Like the 20th of July, something like that.
Something like that. She was cool about it. It was open ended, but I don't want to go into August and be August 15th or August 20th and say, hey, we're not showing up.
Berto, I don't think this is going to be that difficult. I would guess very clearly that before July 15th rolls around, we're going to see how things are going.
Yeah.
It'll be pretty evident. It may even be, if nobody's going anywhere, she may say, guys, it's open. If you decide 2 days before you want to come, it's open for you.
Yes.
She may not. Who knows?
Right. That was my only point.
Oh, yeah.
15th, I think that's fine.
Yeah. I think we'll know more.
Tonight,
Go ahead, Rich.
I just booked tonight our Cape trip. Like my family is one nuclear family.
Right.
We are going to go to the Cape, and we found a house for a week out in Wellfleet. And normally, every year we do that with the Cutlers and the rest, but they're not flying from San Francisco or Austin. And I don't know if you heard, Austin's locked down now till August 15th. Why? They didn't follow the rules.
Right.
Follow the rules.
Now they're in worse shape than they were.
Just for reference, what date did you book that for? I mean, was it July, August? When did you book, Ricky?
Me?
Yeah.
The week of my birthday, actually, the week of July 11th or whatever.
So just as reference, that's your confidence level is up for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you can go to the Cape,
So
maybe we can
what
get
I'm
some
saying is,
travel.
I think
Well, think about what I'm talking about, Bill. And
Your family.
we haven't finished introducing everybody yet, but this is a good discussion.
yeah.
And
And at no point is anybody ever going to be, as we've seen and we've all agreed to, nobody's ever going to be criticized for taking the safe route.
No.
However, what we are seeing is everybody are starting to see dates that give us confidence we can do this.
Maybe.
no. I mean, I think there's a difference between a nuclear family going to a place and 15 guys.
From
But
all over.
one thing I have suggested to Berto is there may be a half dozen guys, and I'm looking at Phil, who wants to get away, people who don't need to fly. There may be a half dozen guys who can go into a big house like that and maintain the type of distance you want, and everybody gets their own bathroom and that kind of thing, and you never think twice about it. I don't know if that's feasible from a cost standpoint, but that's an option. For people who really want to go down to Myrtle, we have that house, and maybe enough people can make that work. I'm not sure I'm going to be comfortable with 15 people in that house.
Right. I think that there's a good
What's the
option.
difference between 8 and 15?
There's a big difference.
7.
Well, I think the number I used was 6, and I think maybe at 6 everybody can get their own bathroom, and you can everybody get their own bedroom.
Yeah. The point, Bill, is that you raise the risk level with every new individual you put into that equation.
So you raise the risk.
And for you, let me finish talking, Bill. But for you, you're one person, you live on your own. We could be pretty safe and secure that you haven't had it in 2 weeks. You feel good. I'm comfortable being with you, right? However, if you are then with me and my daughter has been out with 8 of her friends because we feel comfortable that all her friends have been safe and blah, blah, blah. Now I'm introducing 8 new people that my daughter has been hanging out with that I'm now bringing to you, right? That's exponential amongst 15 people or 6 even, right?
And if it was a change of 20% or 30% or 40% more safety, but we're talking about changes, micro changes in percentages of transmission we're talking like
if people are wearing masks, if people are washing their hands, if people aren't sick, there's a lot of what ifs. Then you got to go to the store and you got to get the delivery, and there's lots of beers and there's lots of drunk people, licking each other, all kinds of stuff.
Well, that's my problem. Is are we
licking each other?
Are we going to be able to lick each other? Are we going to be able to dish out playing cards to each other? Are we going to be able to get in a pool together? Are we going to be able to share a bowl together? Are we going to be able to cook? Or are we going to be standing 6 feet apart?
And you're not doing that now with anybody.
Are you asking me? Am I doing that now with anybody?
No, have you shared a bowl with anybody? Have you
No.
Cereal bowl?
Other than my wife.
My wife, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you guys ought to get out more.
All right. Now we're
You
going
been sharing bowls, Tony? You have?
Excuse me? Of
You've been sharing bowls?
course.
Okay.
Now
So you're not invited to Myrtle.
If anybody else, If anybody asks.
But we made progress here. July 15th, I think we said, is our next.
20th, something like that.
Let's start checking in around the 15th, talking again, and
Yeah,
make-
that was good.
Again, that was my only point. It wasn't to bring this whole thing to a head right now, which I don't think we need to. So
No. But the July 15th.
We can do a webcast on the 15th.
Today is June 15th, so there you go. It's not
Yeah,
that
well.
far away. Okay, let's start talking football. Let's talk about the trade that went down today. We'll talk rules, but let's veer out of our slightly political discussion and talk actual football here for a second.
Yeah. You want me to tell you what it was, or you got it?
If you've got it in front of you, why don't you do it? So let me just set it up by saying, we're talking about Kyler Murray leaving the Dirt Devils, who had Lamar Jackson already. We knew this was coming. There have been at least two teams in the Giant Killers and the Senators in these negotiations, maybe more. And Nick finally pulled the trigger today. Rich, the details?
Yeah, it was T.Y. Hilton from the Senators, along with the Senators' second-round pick at number 13 and number 5, fifth-round pick, number 60, if I recall correctly, for the Dirt Devils, giving to the Senators Kyler Murray, plus their third and fourth picks. I don't remember off the top of my head what numbers they were. I think it was like 28 and 40 or something.
I got it going.
Yeah, to me, it was a fairly fair and equitable trade. I will just start it off by saying that.
Bill, you're our guest. What was your take?
I think that is what the Sens had to do. It seemed like a natural mix for both of them. I had looked a little bit at trading for one of those guys, but I still want to go one more year with Rodgers. So I think it's a natural fit, and it was an equitable one. I'm not sure that the trade looks like the draft pick trade was kind of a mishmash, as in they should have just done TY for.
That's what this trade really was.
Yeah, right, for Murray. But hey, give credit for both of them to working out. Obviously, Nick was working the wires. I mean, he was actually trying to get offers. So
Nick put in time.
Nick and Kramer on people who want to communicate. Then obviously it's like a Christmas. It's a Festivus miracle.
Hey,
So-
let me let Hank's rage build up here a little bit, or whatever passion he's going to have for this. I know he's got some. Berto, I think in the end he was. Rage was the wrong word. I know he would have had some rage if he had gone to the Giant Killers, but he may have influenced this trade.
Yes, he did. There's no maybe. There's no if. He was a thorn in Nick's side, and there was a lot of text going on where Phil is yelling at Nick not to make the trade with me. And again, it's collusion again by the K Wheels.
Wait a minute. You want me to open up the rule book?
This
I
is
don't
completely unfounded blasphemy being thrown my way, completely out of line. I had nothing to do with this trade. I'm not even
You
involved.
want me to open up the rule book?
All right, hold on.
I was asked an opinion. I offered my opinion, and there's nothing. I didn't make this trade. I had nothing to do with it.
Wait a second. You were not. Your opinion was not solicited from Nick. You were very clear to Nick about don't make this trade, capital letters. Don't talk to Berto. Don't trade with the Killers.
But I think that if we go back in time, Berto, that it is well put. I have a proven track record that is no different than how I respond to any trade offered to Berto. I don't think this. If this is collusion, then so is every other trade you've ever made.
And I think they all. I think we've broached into this territory the last few times. When there's any whiff that I'm going to make a trade with somebody, you're right in there in the mix.
Yeah,
that part
isn't that good ownership management? Isn't that good management of my franchise? Is to protect my team from our enemies?
It's meddling.
Please take it over here.
Meddling.
Berto, Okay, so you've claimed you had a better offer on the
Yeah.
table. Did you have a first round in that package?
Yes. I mean, well, it was a conditional first rounder, right?
Exactly. Conditional and next year.
In 2021, okay, fair enough. But honestly, I could have been talked into just a first. It was a conditional between a first and a second, depending upon Murray's performance. But in all honesty, if Nick came back to me and pushed me a little bit harder, I was willing to go give him the one in 2021, which granted, yes, the pick is in 2021, but what you got to remember is he traded a second and a fifth for a third and a fourth year. Big fucking deal.
Right.
Getting a first round pick is.
But he got Hilton.
Yeah, but
He
it
got-
was the 13th. That's basically a first, meaning
No,
he
it's
got,
not.
T.Y. Hilton.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
what? He got the 13th pick.
No,
First
he got
in the second round.
There are 10 guys
13.
who are worthy of being drafted.
13.
That's the 13th pick.
Yeah,
That's
the
the first
13th
pick of the
pick
second round, right?
is not a first round pick.
No, and
Let's say, for example, that I suck this year, even with Murray, or not even suck. Let's say I'm a middle of the road team, which is very possible. He should have been thinking along these lines. You know what? Berto's got two tough divisional opponents.
Yep.
He may not win the division, which means he may not make the playoffs, which means that pick could be like a top 5 pick. Those are the types of picks that are difference makers in the first round, not trading a second and a fifth for a third and a fourth. And by the way, I got to be honest with you, T.Y. Hilton, fine, but what is he, 31 years old?
this
I had Deebo Samuels in that trade, who, when you look at the rankings, is not that far off from T.Y. Hilton. And honestly, he's 8 years younger or whatever he is. So I think I had a better offer.
This is the big question, actually, and so let's talk football for a second. How good is T.Y. Hilton actually at this point? He is 31.
Well, you got to weigh in. He's getting a new quarterback, which can have pros and cons to it. But I look at Phillip Rivers as a pro there for him.
Yep.
And I think he gets an upgraded quarterback. I think he is the main guy in the offense. You're going to get another receiver. Didn't they get who's the Michael Pittman? Is that junior?
They drafted. Yep.
Pittman Jr.
You got a good guy on the other side they got to be aware of. I think it opens up for T.Y. and I think it's actually he has a more productive year ahead than he did last year.
Uh-huh.
Let me just tell, and I like T.Y. Hilton. You look at his career stats. This guy actually has been a really impressive receiver for a long time.
He kicked the alien's butt quite a number of times.
He's had some big years yardage wise, but here are the facts. He, again, 31 years old, coming off an injury last year, 45 catches, 501 yards last year, and even in his best years, looking back here, this guy has never had more than 7 touchdowns in a year. Has not had more than 6 touchdowns in a year since 2014 for 6 years now. He's not a stud. He is at best a strong number 2 fantasy receiver.
Three.
This is the Adam Thielen for Baker Mayfield trade all over again. I thought Nick could do a little better if he could have gotten first, even a 2021. Berto, I think your line of thinking there is perfect. You'd be no offense, but yeah, you're in a tough division. The odds of that being a decent first rounder next year are not bad.
At this point, though, what you have to decide is he worth the roster spot? What are you giving up? Not only just the roster. Kevin obviously had roster weakness, and he could add that player in there. Other teams, even I would say 10 teams, do not have a roster spot to take a quarterback out or add a quarterback or give their whole franchise towards one quarterback. So it was a limited market.
Yeah. We talked about that. It is a limited market for Nick. And so he had Berto and he had Kramer playing, trying to do the best they could. The thing with T.Y. Hilton is he's had success. He is definitely a startable, decent receiver for the year ahead. I mean, you talk about, a bit of an unknown. Kyler Murray's had a great season. He also plays in Arizona, which has had, long-term questionable success. Yes, they look to be a team on the rise, but we'll see. I'm not. We talked about how few franchise quarterbacks there really are in the TFFL, and Thorny says it's less than 5. Is Kyler Murray one of them, or is he about to be? Question
That
mark.
is the other big question. Yeah, did the Senators just get their exciting franchise quarterback for the next 10 years?
Or did they get Baker Mayfield? Just
What-
like
What do you think?
it's a great comparison. The Thielen for Mayfield trade is a great comparison.
The Sens didn't give up. The Sens didn't give up all that much, and that goes back to my original point. I was offering more. I don't care if it's 2021 or whatever. When you have an opportunity to potentially get a top 5 pick, that's the trade he should have made. And by the way, honestly, I think Debo versus T.Y. Hilton. Debo's got a bright future ahead of him, and he's young. Nick didn't like the idea of Kittle and
Debo.
Kittle and Debo. I said, so what? You shouldn't be thinking about that. That doesn't matter and shouldn't factor into the equation at all. So I think I had the better offer. Or very easily, when Nick, to his credit, sent me a text, I'm making a deal with the Sens, and I'm like, can I counter? Is there anything I can do here? And he didn't want to hear it at that point, which is fine. He would just give me a heads up that the email was coming, which I appreciate. But, when he got Kramer to a certain point, he could have come back to me again, and he easily could have gotten that first round pick without the condition between a second and a first. So,
Well, I don't know that you have that much to offer, do you?
Yeah. What was your player?
Debo Samuel and a 1?
Debo in a 1 is pretty good, but
Yeah.
I think Nick got deterred because he was playing games with next year picks and this and that. And if you just come out and said this year won this,
no, but I'm not going to give him this year pick. He's not worth that. I would never do that deal.
What it takes when you see somebody of that
you just
talent.
said if he came back and said,
No, but you guys are missing the point. Even a first round pick next year is better value, because I was also not asking. Kramer got great picks back. He didn't give up that much. He moved back, a couple rounds. I'm going back to this trade and looking at it. He got a third back.
he was missing.
I was asking
a 4 because I have his 4.
You didn't sell well enough.
I was asking for a 13th round pick back or whatever it was. 12. I don't even know. But
No, I think Berto makes a good point, and there are certain owners, Nick is one of them, who just don't value that next year's draft. They just are focused on the picks ahead of them. And I think when you started talking 2021 with Nick, that's just not what he's interested in.
and maybe honestly,
that worked for him sometimes.
the deal probably could have been done. Maybe, he started going down DJ Moore road, and I, didn't want to let DJ Moore go. So, could that have gotten it done and maybe something less potentially, but I didn't want to trade that guy. So, but I still contend Debo versus TY. If you're going to offer me either of those players right now, I'd prefer to have Debo.
Yeah. So another aspect.
Baker Mayfield's available, and he's going to be a top 5 quarterback this year. Big bounce back.
No thanks.
So another aspect to this is the Senators getting a very powerful, potentially quarterback receiver tandem in Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. I don't want to get into another huge, analysis of QB wide receiver tandems in general, but how about this specific one where you've got a stud?
I think it's huge.
Can we have a brief conversation about that trade, about DeAndre Hopkins getting traded to the I mean,
Yeah. Bizarre, right?
for guts. I mean, Bill O'Brien, this is Penn State. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. Well, they got David Johnson, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that
made no sense to me
contract
whatsoever.
thing.
No sense.
Is it that they didn't want to pay him, or is it?
No,
Is that,
No idea.
they considered him a cancer in the locker room. Bill O'Brien hated him. There was a lot of bad blood. That was a big motivation for that deal. I'm not saying it's the right, the right answer, but that was a big factor in that.
how did he and Deshaun get along? Do you know?
Who?
That part I don't know, but I'm assuming he had issues with other people besides the head coach on the team, but I don't know specifically about that relationship. But I did see that somewhere, that he was not, certainly by the coaching staff, he was considered a real jack off, and I'm assuming that probably translated to his teammates as well.
But he could be a 15 touchdown guy in that Arizona offense.
No doubt.
Or more.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great tandem to have. I mean, Hopkins wants to score touchdowns. Now, I will say though, Hopkins disappeared in games quite a bit, where he did not do much.
He can be shut down with the right color.
He sounds scary, and he's super talented. I'm not going to deny the guy's talent. People consider him a top 3 in the league. There at times it just seemed like he would disappear and not put up those kinds of stats that you'd expect from him. And Phil, to your point, yeah, I think that it was like you'd rather get rid of the one big toxic thing, even though it's the best talent you have. It brings down the rest of the team, and a team, like the Patriots sort of mantra of winning as a team, no prima donnas in there, is the way to go.
There you go. Yeah. Well, hopefully that's it for the Texans then. And hey, Bruce Arians may be exactly the kind of guy who can get a lot out of Hopkins, and who knows?
Except Bruce Arians is in Tampa.
Oh, that's right. He's in Tampa. Who's in Arizona now?
You got Cliff Kingsbury in the.
Kingsbury. He's good.
On a short rope.
Yeah.
Okay, let's slow it down now. Let's talk rules. Again, we have one rule, but it's a big rule. Bill is pointing over to Phil, who actually, Phil usually votes no on everything. He is he among most of our owners. I don't. Was that 11-1? What was the score 11, on that?
11-1.
A lot of owners embraced this one, so I don't think there's going to be a lot of controversy here.
But it simplifies our whole pain in the butt free agent IR process, that we've made probably more complicated over the years than needed. And I think we, after lots of discussion, and I give Berkman a lot of credit as well for working through the things. And look, I didn't have anything to do with the creation of this. I just came in at the end and said, yeah, that actually kind of sounds good. We still have 6 picks, right? We still have 6 picks that we can pick up players after the draft. We get 2 of those that we can make priority picks, and a priority pick will jump to the front of the line. Of course, if multiple people in the same week use a priority pick, draft order will follow, same as it ever was.
Standards as before.
But otherwise, the rules don't change, but the whole concept of IR is gone. You will be able to have 2 slots on your roster that you can place a player on IR, but it does not need to correspond with a move or a transaction in the FA process in order to do it, unless you need to release someone to make someone coming back from IR on your team. But it's basically the same basic structure we've always had. 6 players, you submit who you want, but instead of FA, IR, all of those things, that's gone. No more questionable, no more status, no more nothing. You get 2 slots to reserve players on IR. And one question, do they have, when you put somebody on to IR initially, do they have to be a certain injury designation? Yes?
Yes, they have to be doubtful or out.
Doubtful or worse. Okay, so somebody
again, same standard as before.
Nothing changed. That was the same thing before.
Perfect. So that whole process doesn't change. So really the only thing that changes is just this whole delineation between FA, IR, and having to juggle between those things and jump ahead in the line that way. We're flattening that out and making it fairly even.
So perhaps someone could come up with a scenario.
I just have one addition to Phil's piece, which is when you do place somebody in the IR slot, you cannot bring them back for 6 weeks.
Sorry. Yep.
So that's the only little addendum that I would add.
Didn't we have that before too? That it was never. What was our IR rule?
Before it was
They were done for the season.
Never.
Yeah.
Not be brought back. Had to be dropped or kept as a keeper the next year.
Right.
Okay.
And in the NFL, they actually increased it this year and voted to add another designation for a 3rd player that would be allowed to come back after 6 weeks.
So perhaps somebody could come up with a random scenario. Just let's get a, hey, I'm putting in whatever, something that might explain a little more.
All right. So week 1 of the season, Aaron Rodgers goes down with a catastrophic injury. And you who, bank on Aaron Rodgers have nobody as a backup quarterback. So you need to get the Green Bay backup quarterback, whoever that is, whether it's the guy
who goes off for 4 TDs in the first,
whatever. That guy. He has a great game 1 end of it. He's not anybody's roster. You want that guy.
And I have lost that week because Aaron Rodgers went down.
And you now have one of the very top selections, and to ensure it, you're going to use one of your priority picks to make sure you get Jordan Love or whoever it is. And so that will enable you to, as an IR pick previously did, put you ahead of everybody else who's not using a priority pick.
Unless somebody else.
What's that? And allow you to select your player.
Somebody else who put up less points, he wants to use a priority pick.
Yep, then they would get you in the first week.
Right. Same standard. Again, same standard applied. All I'm coming back to is the same standards are applying for everyone.
Now, the one difference here then sounds like, and Berkman, correct me if I get off track here, is that after week 7, Aaron Rodgers who has been placed on IR in one of Bill's 2 IR slots.
As long as they don't drop him.
Yeah, he moved to one of the IR slots when you acquired Jordan Love. And then 7 weeks later, Aaron Rodgers is going to take over the job again. Bill will be able to return Aaron Rodgers, because it's been longer than 6 weeks, off of IR, back to his starting lineup or back to his active roster. He will have to release a player, whether it's Jordan Love or somebody else, off of his roster to make room. Correct?
Nailed it.
Okay. So that enables that ability to take a player who may get hurt early in the season and have an opportunity to bring them back later should they be back playing. But it's a minimum of 6 weeks on IR once you move someone there in the first place.
Now, if I run out of priority picks, can I trade for priority picks?
They're a tradable asset. They're a tradable asset?
Yeah.
Yes. So they're much like
FA picks, priority picks, they're all tradable.
But obviously a priority pick would have more value than a regular FA pick.
Yeah.
Bill, the market will determine the value.
I actually, believe it or not, I actually read what happened here. So, I might have.
No, I mean, obviously there'll be some questions as we get this thing into place. But I think, Berkman and I talked about this ad nauseum for a while, and he kind of convinced me that this was a pretty clean, not really that disruptive system that we're instituting here. We're just taking out kind of some of the BS that we had in there that was just sort of like process for. This just makes cleaner, more sense. All the advantages we had with being able to put players on IR are still there, with the added benefit of being able to return someone after 6 weeks. And, everything else the same. You still get 6 picks overall to adjust with your roster.
Yeah. And again, I want to give real credit to Chief. We've been discussing it for 3 years. Previous commissioner assigned a few people to think about it. Berto, myself, Giovinco, Mike got together. We got it somewhere, but it still wasn't in a place good enough that it represented the clarity it needed to pass. And John took it on again this year, and I think he did a magnificent job with both the rule book, the edits, and making it just clear and simple. So thank you, John. And I really congratulate the league on advancing something that was long overdue.
One quick note on that was that this is now a Thursday process.
Yep.
Yeah.
No longer.
It's a good point.
So there is we add, as we always have, we add more of a strategic value into the game. And I think every move we've always done, because we all play the long game in this, is about the strategic. So you've got 3 less days, 3 less injury days, 3 less injury awareness and alerts and stuff like that to make those picks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it definitely is. And I should report.
I say 3, but I mean 2, but you know what I mean? The process is less.
Yeah.
I should report that following our last webcast or the one before that, we talked about checking out the automation capabilities. They're not existent. It can't handle. The only way to do it is if I relinquish the waiver thing to just be auto run. You pop in your thing and it wouldn't be able to handle the priority picks quite as well. The site can't handle the nuances, which I don't care.
And
to me,
be honest,
I mean, check an email, see what people want, juggle them out and dish them out. You're good to go.
It's not
to
that
be
bad
honest,
of a process.
everybody should be sending their own narrative of what happens. It shouldn't be an automated thing.
It won't. I think it'll work out just fine. The way that in Berkman, it's not going to take that much time. I don't think it's pretty clean. But yeah, Chief should definitely get a huge pat on the back. I mean, he was a huge driver of the stupidity of our previous system and how we should make it a lot simpler. And so yes, Chief should get his name all over this.
All right.
So in the nature of the day, shouldn't we pillage and burn across the person who first wrote the FAIR rule?
Yes. All your sins from the past are now coming due today. Exactly. All right. So we'll have a political discussion here in a second, Bill. But
no, I don't need to have that. Was not a political discussion. I actually asked that.
What was the question? All right, I don't know if you're messing around, Bill, or not, but one last.
I'm messing around.
Okay, one last stipulation on the rule that I just thought of. There's no compensation or to bring somebody back from IR. You're allowed to bring somebody back from IR after the 6 weeks. That you don't have to give something up to bring somebody back.
You just have to have a roster space.
As long as you have a roster space, you're good.
Right.
Wouldn't it be nice if Rich held up the new rule with the signature on it like Trump does?
Yeah. Hey, the other thing is it now possible that you can waive somebody directly from IR? If you have somebody on IR and you need to use another IR spot, can you just cut somebody right off of IR and drop somebody else in there? Yeah.
Yeah, as long as they're eligible to go on IR.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So they were already on it, right?
Let's pretend I got both of my slots.
He can't add anybody. He can't add anybody until he goes through the process.
Got it.
You can drop, but you can't add.
Yep.
Got it.
All right. So let me give you a trivia question to chew on here for a moment, and then I have one more topic for us.
Okay.
I'm scrambling a little bit with the trivia question. I've gone outside the TFFL archives that I kind of sort of don't maintain very well anymore, and I'm looking at the website.
Everybody else.
I'm looking at the website archives, and they actually track a few different things than I do. So the number I'm looking at here that we're going to talk about is the number of weeks in a season in which a team has the high score. You know how the website tracks the high score for each week. And I'll tell you, most years in our history, going back to 2001, as far back as they track it, most years in our history, the most weeks that a team has led in scoring during any single season is 4 weeks. Does that make sense? The leader season to season usually has 4 weeks leading the league in scoring.
Non-consecutive weeks.
Non-consecutive. Just total weeks as the top team that week.
Okay.
There are a handful of years in which a team made it to 5 weeks with the highest score in the league. In fact, in 2005, the Amsterdam Packers and Aliens both did it 5 times.
Wow.
Only once in our history, going all the way back to 2001, according to our website, has a team led the league in scoring 6 times in a season. Now, just as a caveat, this is a 17-week thing. They track all the bullshit weeks, at the end. But nonetheless, only one
regular season, only in the 13 weeks.
Right? No, they're counting all 17.
Okay, got it.
So, but still, only once in 20 years now has somebody led 6 times in weekly scoring.
That's good.
Good question.
So I'll give you 3 points if you can name the franchise that did it, and I'll give you
a year.
and I'll give you 3 points if you can nail the exact year. I'll give you 2 points if you can get within 1 year of the exact year.
Okay. So team and year.
Team and year.
All right, I'm done.
All right. Hold on to your answers. Think about it for a little bit. The final
Completely
topic.
random mass guess.
Yeah. The final topic I have in mind was something you guys had brought up in our pregame chat. Another big piece of news that broke today was NFL news. Zeke Elliott and apparently multiple members of the Cowboys, I think multiple members of the Texans as well, if I read correctly, have tested positive for COVID. I don't
Open it all up. Open everything.
Well, I don't want to turn this too political, but this is what's been making me very skeptical. We will have a season, and I just saw something similar in talking about the NBA season. Somebody said, what happens down in Orlando, and the NBA is small enough that they can do this bubble thing. I've said I think that has potential. But what happens if they go into that bubble and 3 members of an NBA team, 3 starters, get COVID?
All 3 of them that will survive.
Fine, they all survive, but here was the question, and Zach Lowe.
And they stay quarantined like they're supposed to.
But what? And so let's say it's the LA Lakers and it's LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Kyle Kuzma. Did the Lakers just lose the playoff series then? Or do you stop everything for 2 weeks?
Oh, you continue to play. I think that's a risk that teams take, and they have to continue to play.
Zach Lowe's answer was, A, the NBA does not have an answer for that scenario right now. And B, one of the very real possibilities is, shit, we have failed the league if that happens. And now it's a competitive mess. We don't really have the Lakers anymore. We're shutting it down. And I think with the NFL is even, the NFL, you start running risks of, if you lose 3 offensive linemen, you're running risk of injury to your quarterback now.
What is lose? Define lose.
Lose is they get COVID and they've got to be quarantined for 2
Why do they have to be quarantined?
What do you mean? So they don't give it to any other players?
Why? No. Why? Because they are athletes that have 0.00% chance of dying of that thing. They're already quarantined.
All right, Bill, you're making no sense whatsoever, Bill.
That's not what this virus is about, dude.
No. Okay, so 3 linemen get it. You let them continue to play and spread it to the other people.
They're already quarantined.
What?
The NBA is putting all their players in Orlando.
The NBA. We're talking about the
now I'm talking NFL. What happens in the NFL now when you lose 3 offensive linemen or more? And do you quarantine the whole NFL team for 2 weeks? They don't play?
I want you to define the term lose.
They have
in the hospital
for 2 weeks.
Coronavirus, COVID.
They have tested positive for COVID. They are sick. They are coughing. And
that's different than you're saying they actually have symptoms as opposed to be asymptomatic.
Somebody help me out.
Yes,
I'm not,
that's what he means.
this isn't some random person you're talking to. I'm actually paying attention to things that are going on.
I understand.
And you can't just say that, oh my God, this guy has the virus, we have to shut down football.
I'm not saying shut down football, but I'm saying you're saying you don't even shut down the huddle.
I'm saying that by the time that we need to get football going and all other sports going, we're making strides to you guys put me on the spot here, and I have confidence that the virus itself is not making degrading. It isn't tearing down society. We're coming back, and you have to be positive about those things, not because it's an economic thing or anything like that. It's just that we're making medical strides for that. The death ratios are lower. The
medical strides,
not what we're talking about. All right, you got me talking about that. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
This is fine, Bill.
This is a real conversation because Bill, wherever you fall on this, the possibility is there that the NFL will say, yeah, we have to shut down the Houston Texans this week and next week until these guys get out of quarantine. We may not agree on that, but that's a real possibility of what may happen. And then what happens? Then you could kind of blow up the NFL schedule on a week-by-week basis. I just think it's a real logistical nightmare waiting to happen.
And I don't think that's even a remote possibility.
Oh, I think it's more than a possibility, Bill.
I disagree. And I disagree at the beginning, as you recall.
Bill, I let you talk.
We had conversations about this. I disagreed on this earlier.
Bill, I let you talk. Do you talk over everyone every time? Thank you. That's it. Just hang in there. You get your chance. No problem. So check it out. If anyone on a team gets the virus, are you suggesting that they're not going to go home to their family for the week? That they're going to be quarantined for 17 weeks and they're not going to be able to go home? Because I don't see that happening. I think that they're going to try as best possible to keep it normal in terms of a football season, which means players are going to go home and they're going to go to practice. They may social distance at practice, but even Harbaugh said, I just don't even understand how this will work. John Harbaugh came out and said, I need more help and information because I can't see possibly how I can do this. And then on game day, everyone's in the huddle and we're having a real game and everyone's, breathing and spitting and tackling and doing what they do, right? And if people are going to get it, I don't have a way to prevent that from getting back to their homes and back to their children, et cetera, et cetera. And it really becomes difficult to manage that. And to Stick's point, if one team, all of a sudden gets it throughout the whole team and they got to take a bye that week or for 2 weeks, do they just forfeit? Is that it sucks for you, so you got to forfeit? It's hard. It's really hard. I just don't see how they're going to manage it, is my point.
Phil?
I think that we're also leaving out this, and this goes to the NBA and the NFL. There are players that are already actively speaking up that they're not going to play. I mean, we're talking LeBron James has said this, and that other marquee NBA stars, and I think the NBA, different from the NFL, the NBA actually has a scenario that could work. It's a fairly compact period of time. It's a big enough location. They can all be there. Their families can come. They can keep them in a bubble. That might work for that.
Far fewer players.
The NFL season is 4 months long. I mean, I do not see a scenario where there's going to be a quarantine the world of the NFL. So barring that, Berkman's right. We're going to have this freedom of travel, the ability to go home, the ability to see people. And Bill, I hope we are. I hope that is doors open. I think sitting here today that it would be incredibly short-sighted to think that that's going to be life in September. I highly doubt it. We will see. So
we will get back to normal.
We may all be ready to go to Myrtle, and there may be no NFL season for us to talk about. We should at least have that in the back of our minds.
I
hope not.
Berto?
I'll go to Myrtle, though.
Yeah, right. Berto, we haven't heard.
Everyone deserves to go to Myrtle. What's that?
I want to be optimistic, but I think Rich said it correctly, or Phil, the logistical nightmare of this, we'll see. They've got time to figure it out here. But the other thing that we're also forgetting about too is all the training camp. And, this is coming up very quickly in terms of the training camp piece. And, if the NFL players are not having that training camp, they're not going to be ready to go anyway. So it's a very tricky thing here. What we talked about on one webcast was some sort of a modified season, right? Where it starts later and whether that date was November or whatever it was. I remember we talked about this on one of the previous webcasts. And it was going through up until like March Madness, up until March at some point. I could potentially see something like that, because it's about buying more time. And I think, to have an answer, to have training camp up and going relatively soon here, it seems a huge stretch.
So, yeah, well, we'll give Bill final word here in just a second. What I want to acknowledge, Bill, is I think the NFL is going to try their damnedest, and I give a lot of credit to Roger Goodell and to everybody who's trying to do this. What I fear is we're going to end up with a bunch of meaningless exhibition games where they're going to try, and they may actually kick things off in September. But I just fear it breaks down at some point, and maybe we disagree on what the reaction should be. But I, based on how we've seen the medical experts talk and how this country has reacted, if a bunch of players get injured in one organization, they're going to shut it down.
Injured? You're saying injured?
Injured, sick, whatever. I shouldn't say injured. I should say sick and contagious. The evidence right now suggests people will shut that organization down for 2 weeks. And then what happens to this? You can't just reschedule football games. And especially if it happens over and over again throughout 4 months, I fear we're just going to end up with a mess. There's no integrity to the season. They're just playing games when they can, maybe. I don't know. But tell me your optimism again. I'd love to send us off on a good note here.
Today is June 15th. June 15th. We
Training
have
camps in 1 month.
a long period of time.
Yep.
What has changed in the last month? Oh my God, this pandemic is going to kill everybody. Oh my gosh, the WHO didn't have the right reports. Oh my gosh, WHO did have the right reports. Put your masks on. Take your masks off. We have a long period of time. Please take time, look at alternate news sources, and figure out what you want to do. If you want to go there, even if we don't draft, even if there is an NFL season, I am going to Myrtle Beach. I'm sorry. I'm going.
I think you should.
Hitchhike. I'll go there. I'll sit there, fish off the beach, and with no Wi-Fi, whatever. I'm going.
Bill, I would love to be there right with you, brother.
That deserves a Chiron, Hank.
That's it.
Yeah, Bill's in. I'll get the Chiron going. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking that there is no chance in hell my wife.
I love you all, and it's great talking about this. I would, listen. We all.
I like it. I like the optimism.
We're all going through this differently, and that's what's great about us talking about this.
Yeah, no, it's a fascinating.
I mean, remember, Bill. I'll just say, you guys know me. I'm Mr. Optimism, and I would love nothing more than to be there. And I'm hopeful for a miracle, and I think that's what it'll take, in all honesty, to make it happen. Unfortunately, but look, nobody thought on March 11th that on March 12th I would be home and still sitting home 4 months later. So, we're on week 14 now that I'm home, right? And that went by like that, right? And we're talking 1 month from us making a decision, and that's going to go fast. We will get back to normal, and we will be back in Myrtle Beach, and we will have football, and we will have great seasons with packed stands. I'm confident that will happen. I just believe it's going to take a little longer than most people have, unfortunately, patience for. And that's why we are where we are at the moment.
Hey, we didn't talk about the rookies yet.
No, so that's our next webcast. Again, there's talk about a special crossover webcast with Berto's other league.
We talk about one rookie?
We didn't get any rookie banter.
Give a teaser. Have Bill give us a teaser.
Jerry Judy.
Do you like Jerry Judy?
As far as better than the two running backs at the top of the class.
Who are the two running backs at the top of the class?
Well, it's
Jonathan
Taylor.
Edwards Hyde and Jonathan Taylor, but each one of them is going to be in neither one of them is going to be a running back one next year.
So, regardless of whether we bring in guests or not, our next webcast, we will dive into all the rookies that are going to be at the top.
Oh, regardless of whether you brought me in here to do that.
Oh, I was told we were talking rules, and we've been here for an hour.
Hey, you got somewhere to be? I got nowhere to be.
I ain't going anywhere.
Give us one rookie to talk about, Bill. Some not Taylor or Edwards Blair.
Go through Judy then. Give us a breakdown.
No, I'll give you a rookie to talk about.
Let's
And that's probably Cam Akers on the Rams.
good choice.
I honestly think that the Rams, don't have any depth. No,
We're losing Bill.
But,
They still have Daryl Henderson still, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
yes, but I think Cam Akers is the guy who's taking. He was one of those guys that I thought the Steelers might take as a potential third back. Obviously, first and second round back. He didn't have the carries or the catches in the backfield as one might want for a three-down back. But I think he's going to be one of the guys who might sneak into. When we see Jerry Jeudy go and maybe Jalen Reagor go as far as the wide receivers, we might see him sneak up higher. And so Cam Akers is a guy to keep your eye on.
I hope that comes out in post, that we can get that connection a little better.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, am I right that Bill does audio, right?
What happened?
Isn't that his Bill's profession audio? Bill, I think you're gonna have to focus on your Wi-Fi connection. Fix that up.
Different than technical expertise.
That may come out just fine though.
We'll see. In post, it could be just fun.
But
Everything works for 15 minutes when I'm screaming and ranting. But
all right, try it again. Give us
Try again. It's working now. Give it a
10
go.
seconds on Cam Akers.
Oh, now it works.
Cam Akers. You were saying
Go.
something about Cam Akers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go.
You good? Cam Akers?
All I'm saying is Cam Akers might be one of the guys who emerges as the third running back.
Yeah, at the moment, I've still got, I think the first at least 5 spots on our draft board are going to go running back, and Cam Akers is going to be one of those 5 for sure, I think.
So you had Cam Akers go to the Killers.
If you ask my opinion, I would say that there will be more wide receivers taken in the first 8 picks than there are running backs.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll say an equal split, 4-4. That 50% of the first 8 picks will be wide receivers.
Wow.
All right. Well,
for me.
Then
you're right.
Here's my homework for each of you guys is I want all of you guys to work on a first round mock.
Okay.
And when we get back together, we'll compare some notes.
I have an opinion that I'm not going to be asked back for a while.
Oh, you're going to be fine. I'm a little surprised to hear you say that about the receivers. I definitely want to have you back if that's the case.
It's more of a lack of definitive roles on the running backs.
The problem I see, Bill, though, is you've got that same issue with those receivers. Jerry Jeudy is, second fiddle to Cortland Sutton. He's got Noah Fant. He's got 2 running backs in that backfield. He's got a unproven quarterback. CeeDee Lamb is the number 3 receiver in Dallas.
Welcome to the TFFL.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Judy than Lamb.
Yeah, but who?
Yes,
okay, so who are you quickly?
Absolutely.
Who are the top 4? You said Judy's 1. Who's 2, 3, 4?
Judy and Lamb, unless a running back, I would say Cam Akers might fit into the
Phil wants your 4 receivers.
I'm gonna fall in love with somebody.
4 receivers.
Who are those 4 receivers?
Lamb, then who? Jefferson
And Ruggs, I would guess.
And Ruggs.
Or Jalen Reagor.
Ruggs ran into something when he was doing something.
Ruggs was?
No, he had his truck ran into his leg.
He
or
got a
something.
scratch or something. He's fine.
But I don't like Jalen Reagor though. He's a Deshaun Jackson clone, and 2-0. I don't know. T. Higgins.
Right. Some Eagle fan will take him. It's all good.
Yeah,
it's all good. We'll all take them.
All right. So hey, we're just over an hour. Let's wrap up. We have covered a lot.
Not Chase Claypool Steelers.
Oh boy, I'm not. We'll talk. I'm not a huge fan. Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
Hey, good talk, guys. Let's keep talking. We'll be back here.
We have a trivia question.
Oh yeah, I got an answer. Thank you.
Oh, Berto and I said the same thing.
Wow. Nice work.
Berto.
I don't know if you guys prepared or something. The correct answer is Dirt Devils 2003.
Oh, I cheated.
I did not look anything up. The way I came to that
Well
is
done, gentlemen. Well done.
he scored over 100 points 2 years in a row against the Killers in the Pac Bowl. So I was like Devils, and we were talking about Devils earlier, bagging on them on the trade. That's why I picked the Devils.
That was
Well done.
part of a stretch of 5 straight years. This is
That's
now according to my archives. 5 straight years in which the Devils led the TFFL in scoring.
Wow.
But that
Yeah,
2000,
Daniel Thomason.
Nice work, Phil.
Five straight years?
You're welcome. Hey,
5
Nick,
straight years they led the league in scoring.
I don't know that I recorded this correctly, but you had touted some big point numbers on these correct answers.
I think you and Berto
3.
6 points.
We each get 6, right?
Oh, that's a big deficit.
I get nothing. Guest gets nothing.
Devils scored, I think, 102 points, both those Pac Bowls those 2 years.
Let me tell you, 2003 and yeah, you're right. 2003 and 2004, the Devils beat you both times with identical 104 point totals.
104.
Yeah.
He had an advantage. He was permanently scarred
Right.
from that.
Right.
That's why he remembers. See, I had
I had
nothing in that. So
I had a feeling it was going to be a great Devils question, too. So
Wait, did Berkman or Thorny? Did you guys get either part of that? And
Nothing.
did you think
Zero.
the Devils are
I guess the Hams 2013. I was a decade off.
the updated trivia totals? Stick, please mark this down. Leading with 13 points is Hank. 13
Whoa.
points. Trailing me by 1 is Mr. Bertolozzi with 12
all right.
points. Borkman has 9.
All
Chief has 4. And our guest, 0. 0 for the guest.
I'm glad to hold up the moniker of the worst trivia answers.
Yes. So well done. Hey, I'm still shocked I got that right. That's
Well done.
Very well done.
That's awesome.
And you guys got the year right too. That's what fucked with me.
That was really impressive.
Hank is the impressive one getting the year right. Yeah, Berto's got
17
reason.
years ago. God,
Berto's got reason to remember that.
I can't remember last year.
I don't remember anything, but for some reason that
5 minutes
That's
ago,
true.
he
That's
got
true.
in his pocket.
nice.
It is a frequent thought in my head. Did I shampoo?
I don't think I showered today.
2 minutes prior. All right. Hey, Bill, thank you for joining us. Your
Glad
perspective.
to be here, guys.
Great to have you, Bill.
Welcome. Everybody else, thanks for taking the time. We'll be back here next week. Hopefully, we'll pick a day. And we got lots of rookies we can keep talking about. And
Wait, quick. Penn State quarterback who's in the transfer portal is supposedly going to transfer to Syracuse. And Andre Robinson Jr. or something like that.
Oh, yeah?
You guys interested in that? Guys,
Okay.
specimen, the number 4 multi-purpose quarterback in the 2 years ago recruiting class.
Wow.
That's the word. That's the word.
That's awesome. They just got an offensive lineman transferred today. That was a top guy.
From what, like Lehigh?
I don't remember where he's from, but if you want to, after the webcast, I'm happy to tell you.
So pay attention, okay?
All right, we'll study up on Syracuse football, Bill, and give us a report next week.
we'll look forward to seeing those guys.
All right, nice.
Good
We'll
night.
look forward to seeing those guys when they play again in 2021. All right.
Okay, Tony, what's the difference between 15 and 8?
7.
Sorry, a defensive end. They landed defensive end transfer.
From where?
It was from. Give me 1 sec.
Inappropriate.
Such
Mount
value.
Holyoke.
It was Cody Roscoe. Is his name?
Swarthmore.
Yeah, defensive lineman, 2020 roster. Where'd he come from?
Swarthmore.
Somewhere south. His name is Cody and Roscoe.
Cody Roscoe.
Right.
He's transferred to junior.
Can we be done now?
Sure.
Take care.
McNeese State. He comes from McNeese State.
There you go. There's some quality additions.
All right. We're done.
Wrap it up, Stick.
I